Welcome and thank you to anybody who has watched other episodes. And if you're new, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put myself in your shoes as it relates to career exploration, marketing, social media, entrepreneurship, anything leadership or innovation. These are the places that I love spending time and that I've worked in, and I'm paying it forward and adding a little value in these 3 to 6, 7 minute videos. So the card that I picked out today from, again, my list of 20 or 30 that I made in the beginning of this summer is if I were a university president trying to build a brand digitally. Specifically, I put here on Twitter, but I'm going to break it down as any university president, or for that matter, like any president or any leader that's trying to become a digital leader, is how do you build a brand? And I think the big thing that you want to realize and recognize is by you creating content and you opening up the social media outlets, is you are opening up the social media peephole of not just yourself and your personal and professional life, but you're really doing it for the organization. You're becoming an ambassador, the greatest ambassador for your university, specifically for this example. And kind of what I wrote down here, the first one is you are the hub. And as it relates to Twitter and why I think Twitter is the one platform that you should really choose and choose it wisely to use it, is because it's a constant communication tool. It's back and forth. It's short snippets of information. And what you can do with it is you can be the hub of your campus. So you can communicate what's happening in residents' life with updates, closings, openings, etc. You can help with public safety and emergencies, admissions process, welcoming new students, current students, students that might be global. You can literally connect with them on a one-to-one basis. And the two examples that I would point to, and I'm sure any of my student affairs and higher ed friends would echo this. First one is President Steve Ono. He used to be president of the University of Cincinnati, which is where he, for at least me, became kind of a digital leader figure in my world. And now I think he's at UBC in British Columbia. And the second one that I had the pleasure to actually interview when I was at Virginia Tech last fall is President Timothy Sands down there in Blacksburg, Virginia. And I remember sitting down with him for about 15, 20 minutes, and I asked, well, why Twitter? And I was expecting some epiphany or some, philosophical reason. And he was like, well, my kids challenged me and said, Dad, you need to get on some social media platform. And he chose Twitter. And he says he hasn't looked back, and going back to the example I shared about being the hub and the communication source, that's how he has harnessed it. The second thing is you actually want to be able to create a context with your peers, with your students, with your faculty, with your staff. And sure, you can use it for professional communication, which is what it's there for. But I think one of the great examples is what Timothy Sands said down at Virginia Tech is a lot of the examples that I would see on his personal Twitter account is he would take a selfie of him and his wife. They were in the cafeteria sitting down for lunch or dinner one night, and they'd say, hey, we have 5 spots available to any student or faculty member who would love to come sit with us. We would totally welcome you. And so there's that sense of him opening up, literally spontaneous meetups, to the same point of him showing himself, at Fall Festival, at a football game, that he's more of a real human being, which is my big second point, is you need to become accessible. And that's why building a digital brand is so important, because when you physically might be inaccessible to a lot of different, partners on campus, physically getting to meet with them, you can at least do it in 140 characters, in a live video, in a reply, in an Instagram post, whatever it might be. You can create this accessibility for yourself. And the third one overall is it helps you build your professional brand. Again, people like Timothy Sands, Steve Ono, and other great leaders, we know them because of their digital footprint that they're making. They have their on-campus audience and constituents that they serve, but they now have created this greater audience, this digital audience, if you will, that they can now connect with within a greater practice. So I can go to Timothy Sands or any of these and tweet at them, and there's a 90% chance that they will get back to you. And so that's a great feeling when you are in a certain industry or sector, that these thought leaders are now digital leaders, and they can again become experts that you can connect with online. So that is my little 3 tips or 3 pieces of inside of if I were a university president, of how to build a digital brand and really why to build a digital brand. But if I can connect you to anybody that I recommended or talked about in this video, or if you have other people that you think are crushing it on digital leadership or that you think should be doing more on social media, tag them below, and I'd love to hear from you. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week for episode 10. Take care.